Boy, have I been hearing a whole lot of bad stuff this morning. A whole lot of bad stuff about this game this morning. The best I've heard is the game is, at best, it's okay. It's okay. That's what I've been hearing. See what the tried and true think of it. Check this out.
It's wild that it took almost 20 years and dozens of games
to
for the
get to
biggest
Japan
action series around to finally bend towards feudal Japan. Assassin's Creed Shadows makes the most of that theme with a great pair of shinobi and samurai heroes sharing center stage that are fun to sculpt through giant castles or wade into vicious battles with.
Whew.
Besides the setting, the bulk of the changes this time around focus on making smaller tweaks to well-established systems, such as less cluttered maps and skill trees, while also doubling down on things that really worked in 2023's Assassin's Creed.
Doubling down.
Like
I would say they have doubled down in so many ways.
It's not a perfect reset, as imbalances and missed opportunities abound, but I feel more confident than ever that Assassin's Creed could be back and here to stay.
And once this is done, I will never take up the sword
Could be
again.
back.
Let us get this over with.
Like a river.
What do you think, folks? Is it back?
Shadow's story overflows with cliches and tropes. The morally complex intersecting plots still keep the intrigue high, which is the same trick that made Assassin's Creed Valhalla's stories work when they did. I don't think I was particularly wowed by any of the writing on a regular basis, but there are some standout moments of tense reflection and curious happenings sprinkled throughout.
Obama.
He's behind these murders.
I don't know.
I didn't know. Well, Obama was a Japanese name too. Me and Michelle haven't been there in a while, but I'm going to have to go back and find this Obama estate. I might find some cousins there.
No.
The typical Assassin's Creed conspiracy woven into it fits perfectly within the war-torn Sengoku period of Japan too.
Goku in it too?
It's still a bit too full
Okay.
of go here, do that quests as bridges between major moments, but Shadows is organized in a way that can be enjoyed in pieces and at your leisure without getting too lost between plot points. Almost like how one might enjoy a good book. The leads themselves are wonderful. You spend a lot of the early game with the sharp-witted and brooding Naoe, who is among the last shinobi warriors of the Ika clan, a role thrust upon her by tragedy. That tragedy befell her in part by the hands of the charismatic Hulk Yasuke, who is a tireless warrior for justice and peace. When they begin working together, they are frequently each other's most reliable counsel, with different perspectives on the events going on around them.
Perhaps in that chance lies the seed of redemption for each of us.
In other words, they truly do balance one another. And while I don't think either one would win popularity contests against some of the other series stars like Ezio or Edward, together they serve as a bright light in the center of a largely dark tale.
Slice and dicing.
Most of the missions in Shadows starts on the refreshingly intuitive objective board. Thematically, this approach matches the tone of using all of the information you gather to identify hidden members of a secret society trying to plunge Japan into chaos. Functionally, the way it
I'm an agent of chaos.
organizes outstanding tasks and the people involved is far more useful than the old bulleted quest list. Selecting a quest gave me a short list of clues to help discern where the objective was. Past Assassin's Creed games have tried versions of this before, but this one is the first one that I felt consistently made me look at my map and actually deduce where the spot in question might be. Rather than lighting up your map with a galaxy of tooltips, Shadows mostly relies on sparse points of interest icons to push you towards the areas you'll need to see in person. Even when you climb up to the signature high points to take a good long look at your surroundings, you'll see a bunch of these things that tell you that there's something out there. but you're gonna have to go check them out for
Some
yourself.
more stuff to do.
I love this. I could feel my brain starting to
That helps.
detangle the checklist conditioning that years of these games have instilled in me. Most of these undiscovered locations fall into a number of reliable categories, like castles you can infiltrate and attempt to steal special gear from, or any of the many villages scattered across Japan. But you can't be sure unless you take them in for yourself.
Is that a meditation thing,
A
like
common thing I
what you
would
call
always
it?
stop to handle whenever I came across them
Ghost of
were world
Tsushima?
activities. These are smaller locations and events that, when completed, add knowledge points to your characters, adding new options to their skill trees. Not all of these events are exciting, but they often don't take too long, and the points are worth it in the end. And some can add an interesting distraction from the action for a short spell.
Did it say what this was captured on?
Between outings, I spent some time at the hideout. After collecting minerals, crops, and wood out in the world, you can use those resources to build and upgrade important buildings here that give you access to new assets. I spent the majority of my time at the forge managing my equipment, while other important buildings provide features that can be managed in places outside of the hideout, like the new summoning ability from the dojo, which let me call in help from certain allies I met during my adventure. I'm glad I didn't have to dote on this place very much, as I personally can't be bothered to decorate a homestead. But those who can won't be disappointed by the amount of cosmetics available to find and buy.
The hell is that? Oh, a kitten.
This version of 1500s Japan is a beautiful place. There's such a
Oh, it was a friendly gremlin of sorts.
symphony of color over every hill and across every lake. Each season brings with it incredible landscapes, sometimes covered in the copper brown of autumn or entombed in deep white snow. I found the weather to be some of the best I'd ever experienced in an open world. It was hard not to be moved watching powerful winds pick up and bring in rolling thunderstorms, especially when nature reacted to it all in real time, as flocks of birds take flight and ground critters scurry to find safety. And not for nothing, but in my dozens of hours in Shadows, I encountered remarkably few bugs for a game this size. The 40-hour main story revolves around unmasking and eliminating members of a deadly organization called the Shimbaku. Once you've size. Dozens of hours in Shadows, I encountered remarkably few bugs for a game this size.
You did say bugs. Okay, I didn't hear him.
The 40-hour main story revolves around unmasking and eliminating members of a deadly organization called the Shimbaku. Once you've chosen a target, their multi-mission arcs give you regular opportunities to handle the situation with either Yasuke's might or Naoe's stealth. While there are certainly scenarios where one is more useful than the other,
got him.
in general, there are remarkably
That
few
one was
quests
smooth
where
on
Naoe
him.
isn't better suited for the task at hand.
I'm not allowed here. I should be quiet.
If the Assassin's Creed playstyle
Yanked him
is
on
a
out.
combination of concepts like exploration, parkour, stealth, and combat, Naoe can do all of these competently, excelling at parkour and stealth in particular, while Yasuke can't climb very well or sneak around much due to his
So I've
size
heard.
and general lack of grace.
I meant to do that.
He is a devastating force in combat.
By the way, why do they always do this in games, right? So, like, the first thing I noticed it in was Street Fighter 2, in particular, and it's one of those things that's in the back of your head, but you never really, It was like, it's funny. A lot of these fighting games and different games where you can choose different characters, you can pick a woman or a guy. The girls are always faster than the guys, always. I was like, but in reality, women aren't faster than us. And it was like, that's funny that they always make the women faster, or they're more agile and nimble and can jump off of walls. And, it's like all the things that we do better, like we're more agile. You know what I mean? We're stronger, we're faster. We have better hand-eye coordination. Men are just meant to hunt, be protectors, be defenders, and it's just funny that they do that You know what I'm saying? However, in Street Fighter 2, the fastest character in the game was actually Vega, a man. But out of the characters that you could choose, Chun-Li was the fastest. And I noticed that just in other games too. It's like, yeah, you pick the girl, and you might see people do videos saying, yeah, she's actually the fastest in the game. It's like, they always make the girls the fastest. Does this stem from Street Fighter 2? Like, I don't remember any other games before that where it was like, okay, you get to choose different characters, whether it was an action game or, whatever, and the girl was the fastest in the game. You get what I'm saying?
Combat, but now I can simply sneak around most situations that Yasuke would cut his way through, solving them with so much less trouble. As much as I like Yasuke, he's far more limited and one-dimensional, with large parts of this game not quite designed to take advantage of his strengths.
Fight!
It's particularly disappointing because Shadows does find ways to tailor missions around both of their skills on occasion, usually in bigger, more pivotal, and more important battles, where both heroes need to operate together to succeed. These special missions are separated into sections that allow you to choose which character to proceed with, changing what's asked of you depending on your choice. It's awesome, and made the more homogeneous space between these moments a real bummer.
Oh!
Combat overall is more challenging and thoughtful than in the past. Enemies, especially in groups, are more aggressive and tend to have solid defenses, both in that they block a lot, and also in that many of them are armored, essentially giving them another life bar. Effectively taking them down means having a solid defense of your own, dodging and deflecting their blows to make them vulnerable, and taking advantage before they recover, though the camera can really struggle to keep all of the action in frame. Straightforward combat encounters really sing when playing as Yasuke, whose suite of weapons are all perfect for decimating enemies. Even outside of his toys, he's a juggernaut of a man, being able to literally run through walls and shake the earth with his blows. Now,
they meant for him to be a juggernaut running through walls.
And while capable of doing lots of damage when enemies are vulnerable,
I'm the juggernaut, bitch!
By mobs, especially when armored bruisers. On the flip side, Naoe is a menace when striking from the shadows or catching enemies unaware. There are some new features, like being able to
the double joint
while prone, as well as some returning ones, like her eagle sense and the long missing double assassination, all of which add up to make Naoe one of the most robust assassins in the series.
Fight!
Enhancing your combat abilities is mercifully less tedious than Valhalla's skill constellation. Naoe and Yasuke have skill trees focused on their weapons and specialities, with every node feeling far more impactful than simple passive damage bonuses, which still exists, but in small amounts. Gaining new abilities is obviously the most impactful, but some of the real hidden gems add new functionality to weapons, like being able to turn certain attacks with Naoe's chain sickle into grapples that let you pull enemies into obstacles or off cliffs.
Okay, get over here, huh?
Speaking of excess, Shadows takes a big step backwards from the work done around your inventory in Valhalla or Mirage. There are far too many pieces of randomized, color-tiered gear to pick up from fallen foes or earn as forgettable quest rewards that had no chance of making it into my rotation. Some might do as last-minute stopgaps to keep your stats in line with the bad guys, but only until you find that next piece of legendary gear or earn enough resources to level up a piece you already like. The skills in legendary gear, like this armor that has a chance to negate range attacks entirely, are impactful in a way that the generic buffs that you get from the lower tiers of gear never even come close to.
The verdict.
Assassin's Creed Shadows takes a flashing blade to the series' established norms, trimming them to a more precise.
Sounds like they're going to give it a
chopping them down
7
outright.
or 8.
Combat is aggressive and requires more intentional parrying and skill management than in the past. And exploring the gorgeous provinces of Sengoku period Japan is encouraged thanks to a revamped map that de-emphasizes collecting icons and checking off lists. Naoe and Yasuke are well-realized and memorable protagonists, even though most of the story they drive follows pretty predictable paths. Both have unique playstyles that bolster each other's weaknesses, but they are ultimately imbalanced by the fact that you can make use of the stealth and exploration skills of the Master Shinobi far more than the superhuman strength of the samurai. This isn't the Assassin's Creed that will change the minds of folks who have never connected with the series before.
What?
But for those of us with lots of hours logged into the Animus, the sum of Shadow's parts provide a refreshing realignment that you should not skip.
What I tell you? Alright. It is what it is. I will continue to look at other stuff, but this is mainstream, so to speak. The regular folk have been speaking a little bit differently. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you think, though. If you enjoyed my reaction and thoughts on this review, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And I will see you in the next video. 10 million subscribers. Woo!